Hey everyone, welcome back. As a real estate investor, I'm always talking about finding the deals and the numbers are king and you have to know your numbers and do your due diligence. So I wanted to share with you today about another resource that as a real estate investor, I have access to because I'm a real estate broker. So this is a screen. I've logged into my Netris account. It's the multiple listing service, MLS. So for those of you who are not realtors, you might not be familiar, but if you have a realtor on your team, this is the screen when they log in. And what we're going to be looking at is this RPR, that stands for Realtor Property Resource. And it's some really cool data all in one place. And I'm going to show you some examples of how I use this. It's really helpful when you're looking for properties outside of your normal area, or maybe you want to invest somewhere outside of your area in a different state. This resource, actually, you can pull up properties from almost anywhere. So without further ado, we're going to get started with the RPR app. All right, once I have logged into the RPR, then you'll see all of this information right here. It has so much information. I mean, it's just really awesome. It's all right here, the type of reports that you can get, your history, which I'm going to show you some of that here in a minute. It just has really great info. And as so one of my benefits of being a broker in Texas is that I have access to this with my dues. And what I wanted to do is kind of just give you a couple of examples of how I use this. So I'm going to put in a property that I actually used to own. It was my first rental property. I have since sold it. And I'm just putting that in. Now you'll notice there's residential and commercial. So I could actually do searches on both. So for those multifamily people, you can do this here. Now, my purpose of my search today is I'm interested in a property that I want to Airbnb. So, but you could do this with off-market properties. You can do it. In fact, whenever I get a lead, I usually go here before I start running comps, because comps, sometimes the MLS doesn't give you all the info that you need. So we're simply going to do search, and voila, it comes up with a picture. Now, most of this information is taken from the tax records, the MLS, and that kind of thing. And here's the property that I owned. And you can see this is what the current guy is leasing it for, $17.50 a month. Yeah, my tenant was way under a few years ago. What the current value is of the property, this 277. It gives you the owner info, which again is just taken from the tax records, description. And what's cool about this, I actually did look at this prior to see what, like if there were historical photos, because a lot of times it'll, but because I bought this back in, I think it was like, I don't know, 2008, it didn't have them, but this was the current listing photos. But sometimes you'll be able to have all the photos from when, from before and after. And this is really good. Just a little tip, it's kind of off topic, but if you're doing notes, this is really good because you can, show, if you're trying to sell the note, you can show the before and afters. It's kind of cool. The history, you can look at the history of the sale, leasing, the area. Here, the green line is the assessed value, and you can see like in this area, and it's it's Plano, Texas, so it's going up. It'll give you the MLS number, and it just gives you all of the current information about this property. And what's also cool is you can also run reports, and I had already done that. So I'm going to pause for a second so I can open up that report for you to show you some of the really cool things that you can find out about a particular property or a neighborhood that you're interested in investing in. Now, here's the report that I just ran on this property. So it takes a couple minutes to do, and you can see this report is 30 pages long. Now, there's other reports that I can do that are not quite as long, but this is just so, it gives you so much information. There's my profile. So your realtor has to run this for you, or if you have access to the MLS. Here it just gives you kind of like a little overview of the neighborhood, and then some more info. And then you can get into the home facts. And from this RPR, you can actually run comps. Like you can manipulate the numbers and you can find off property sales price a lot of times too on this, or look it up on the tax records. And then it'll give you extended home facts. So, what kind of sheetrock, carpet, vinyl, it breaks down and again, a lot of this is taken from the property tax records. What's really cool is that you kind of have all the MLS numbers and the property tax all in one place. You don't have to go to two different places. Talks about a HOA, which I've talked about in the Airbnb business. Then if I'm not looking at this property as an Airbnb, but if I was, then I would say, okay, well, there it is. And then tenant responsibilities. This is basically was pulled from the MLS. And then this gets into, now I will say that this is helpful. Like if you were going to look at an Airbnb property. So for me, this wouldn't score very good as an Airbnb. Let's just say I was looking at it. This is just saying, not affordable, the neighborhood, it's out of 100. So there's a whole lot of things that I'm not going to go into today, but like the neighborhood, okay, it scores good. Transportation, because there's no buses over there. There's no really transportation in that area, public transportation. Here's more photos. And if there were historical photos, they would be right here on this particular property. There is not, because I think it was just too long since I sold it off market. So there you have it. That's probably why there's no, and it was such a long time ago. Now here's a couple of reports that are going to be coming up. So comps and adjustments. So this gives you like, what are the neighborhoods around there, the subdivisions. So that's always helpful to know if you're going to, and you can see in this one that here's the subject property. There's no pending, nothing sold because there's probably no inventory over there. So there's really nothing here right now. This just goes back to, it sold in one day. You can see that they kind of mess with the numbers here. So that's not really accurate. Okay, but here's a history of the neighborhood. So this house, I bought it just a little above 100 and you can see it's really gone up, right? And then it's been sold, it looks like a couple times. So here and then now, wow, look at that right there. But that's it gives you Collin County. So you can't just look at the one property, right? It's just kind of a line to show you where the property is for that zip code and in Collin County, right? So there's a lot of high priced homes in Collin County. Then this gives you the assessed values. This is a tax. So you can see how far it went back from, I owned it back in 2013. And then where it's just gone up. And the taxes, that was one of my reasons for selling it because of the taxes. It was just getting out of control. This tells you like the original owners and now who owns the house now. Man, I'm trying to get to the really cool reports. This is just the sales and financial activity. So there's a lot of info in here. So the reason I'm showing this is that, if you're really into numbers, this is a great report to analyze a property that you're thinking about. You can look at, I talk about appreciating areas. So you can look and see if this property is in an appreciating area, because that's really important. No matter what your strategy is, you want to make sure you're buying a house that's going to go up in value, not go down. Here is a really great report where this talks about the estimated values, like just color, color coded or whatever. So you can see like the areas that are in white, it's like less than 100,000, but look at all these dark, now this is Plano. So this is the area, but even that area where that property is, if y'all know that area, it's very appreciating. The darker colors are more appreciating, but this is a really good place to be with, appreciation. So I always talk about appreciation as one of the things I look for. And then this talks about, well, this would be your distressed properties, in red. And you can see there's a little tinge here and there, that could have, I don't know, getting off the eviction or all the foreclosure moratorium, if that's having an impact. But you can see the area where the property is. It's really not that distressed. But then when you go out here, which if we looked at the map, let's just compare that. Is it the higher appreciating areas that are more in distress? So you see here and here a little bit, maybe. Could we draw a correlation? Maybe. These are higher priced homes. So I don't know. I don't know if we can draw that correlation. This is just price per square foot. In this particular area, it's pretty even across the board here. But it's, if you like data and you like color coded reports, this is really awesome and it's, what's really awesome is when you have a seller and you want to get their, you want to show them, value in their property. Now, if you're trying to buy it as a discount, you probably wouldn't want to, but if you're a listing agent, this is really good info, but as an investor, it's really good info because you want to, make sure you're buying it right, buy it in the right area. Now, here is a flood zone map. Okay, so I don't have to really go anywhere to look for flood zone because it's all right here. So this tells me that the pink is the, here's the pink. So, this is in the middle of Plano, 75023, not too many, flood zones there. But if you're looking at coastal property, lake property, this is just a good map to, you might still have to do a flood certification survey, but just good to know as you're going into purchasing the property when you're getting your offer ready. And then here's neighborhood housing stats and charts. So you can see the median estimated home value for the zip code, then Plano, Collin County, Texas in the US. So again, if you're really into numbers, this report is for you. Here we go into median sales prices versus sales volume. We've got like a downswing here. But it's all over the board. So I guess what this is saying is that, I don't interpret data, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on with this one. I just look at the numbers like, okay, it's going up right here. It's going up. Okay, let's get down to, inventory of distressed properties. There is a way to look for distressed properties with this report. So it's saying that there's only one right now. And then it'll give you the price by square footage. Some people really like to know what that is. Again, it's only looking at one property because there's just no inventory over there. Okay, this house, price per square foot of homes sold. Again, the numbers are just one. So again, this just gives you a lot of info. And then here's the neighborhood stats. So you can see so if you're looking for buy and holds, this is really good to find out, okay, the population, in Plano, Collin, the density of the population. It looks like that 75023 is, had an 8% increase. Plano 16.5. So you can tell that this is an appreciating area. People are moving to Plano. That's what that's telling me. Here it just goes into more demographics of, so if you were looking to target, let's say you were trying to find distressed properties. Let's see if I can find that number here. Because I do market to, I think it has okay, this is all about the degrees. Oh, here's what I'm looking for. So you can see the majority of people, okay, so you can break it down by age, right? So the majority of people that own over in Plano are either between 25 and 34. And then you've got the next group of 13,000. So these folks are going to be good to target as far as, they're going to be wanting to downsize, in maybe another 5 to 7 years. And then you've got 5,000 people, and then you can see the population here. There's only like a little under 2,300 single. So that gives you all kinds of info here that you can really use to create a dynamic marketing strategy here. So more economic numbers. I'm going to kind of move on. Quality of life. This just has, elementary schools. Plano's rated really high with an A rating. So just excellent, excellent info. Now, the next report I'm going to show you has to do with an area that I'm looking at to invest for an Airbnb. And I want to show you how I'm using the numbers to make a, to even find out if it's a property that I want to go after. All right, the next report I'm going to go over is actually in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. So I'm in Texas and I've never been to North Carolina, but I've been researching where I might, if I want to invest outside of Texas, where I might want to invest. And this area seems really cool for multiple reasons. Number one, the Smokies are beautiful. It's skiing. I've heard great things about it. So, I might be interested in going to this area. And so I just kind of used, so my MLS doesn't go to North Carolina, but my RPR, I can pull properties from that area, which is great because I can actually do comps and all that. So I went ahead and I did a report just like the one we just did. And okay, so I can get a kind of an idea of how much money I'm probably going to have to spend, right? Now, this property was listed on Zillow for $350,000. So, they got the price here at $346,000. It is listed with a realtor. So I can also do research on that realtor if I don't have a referral for that area. This gives me, just kind of verifies all the info. So it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or it looks like 3 baths. It sits on 1 acre. Excuse me. And okay, so far so good. It has no basement. Okay, so extended home facts. So now I can say, okay, it's electric. It has finished wood. Lots size. I don't know all that. I'd have to at least, if I have somebody that's, my GC friends, I can say, well, what is that? Is that a good idea or whatever? The walkability score out of 5, building quality B. So this gives me some ideas, like if I were to pursue this, what I might want to be paying attention to, right? So what does that mean? Because some of those houses there are built on the side of a mountain. Okay, so property report. Now remember, so the neighborhood, access to life and work. So it's rated at 26, so not very high. So it means it's kind of remote, which is good for an Airbnb. Looks like transportation's okay. Environment's good. So I'm okay. I'm not put off so far. Yay. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, now on the comps, again, there's nothing, I've been looking, there's really nothing over there for sale and hasn't been, but it would give me like what's kind of going on here. And I could, if I'm serious about it, I could make some comps, but I wouldn't rely on them very well just because I'm not familiar enough with the neighborhood. Here's another just, now this is crazy line, right? So this house, okay, it looks like it took a dip, then they took another dip and now it's on the upswing, but it did go down. So the yellow, but look, that's kind of a crazy market, up and down and all around. So that's Jackson County, North Carolina. North Carolina is the light blue. So it's kind of gone, so this would be very interesting to find out what this, so the dark blue is that particular zip code. And they've had, some spikes and then this. But overall, the value of this house has gone, it's really gone up and down. So it'd be interesting to know, was that due to some economic things? So do you see, like, it doesn't give me the answer, but I'm able to start formulating some questions around, this property, if I'm, or, just properties in general in that area. Okay, now I can go to the assessed values, which is very, so the improvements, land. Okay, so the tax value, which we know, can be, 400, but really 2. So this is what you're paying your taxes on, but this is very interesting, right? Because it was in 2011, 255. So they're showing a drop. Interesting. Now, could that be because they're homesteading it? That would be a question to ask, because it kind of goes back to this, this kind of market volatility. What is really going on? Because remember, I said I wanted to buy in an appreciating area. So, okay, let's go, keep going here. I'm going to get down to some of the property reports. Okay, now here we go. We have some, Okay, average home sales based on the resources here. So again, there's not really any info there. Okay, that's okay. But here we go. Now we're getting to some 12-month changes. So now look at this, the distressed areas. Okay, here's the property. And then look at that right around there. What is going on with that? Okay, under 15%. And then really over here, and I'm not familiar with North Carolina for those that are, but what is going on? So that would be a question. Why is there such a change? Now, as an investor, am I gonna, can I get a deal? What's happening here? So that'd be very interesting question. And then let's look at the next one, which is going to tell me appreciating areas. So just like before, you can kind of look at the same areas. So remember, the darker blue means that that's the most appreciating area. Now, so this area that I'm looking at, it's still appreciating, but let's go back up here and kind of do that overlay. If I can kind of get both on the same screen. So we've got that bottom corner. So not as much appreciation, but there's some, could that be, due to the higher priced homes? I don't know. Okay, here's the flood map. I don't think I have to worry about flood zones here. It looks like on a mountain. So this just goes on more and more info. So far, I've been able to formulate some questions that I would want to ask about this property. So number one, obviously, why is the tax rate so low? Why is it like 255 and the property's for sale for 250? I mean, yes, sometimes there's a adjustment, but $100,000. Number two, what is going on with the distressed property situation? And as an investor, can I take advantage of that? Because that's, I'm looking for a distressed off market. So this is getting me familiar with the area, and I can formulate questions based on this very long report about this particular property. So I hope that you've enjoyed learning about RPR. And if your realtor is not doing that, you need to reach out to me. As I said, whenever you're looking for deals, you want to make sure that you have deal flow. And then once you do have the deal flow, how are you going to analyze it and do your due diligence? So I haven't been to North Carolina, but I started my process. And I actually am doing this on, about 10 different properties so that I can know the area before I go there. So I can get an idea, okay, this is great, this is not, this is great. So, well, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to give me a like and share the video. All right. Thanks, everyone.